Welcome back to Narravue Stories. Today's story is about a mysterious object that should never be used, because the moment you hear its sound, death itself begins to hunt you. This is the terrifying story of Whistle. The story begins during a high school basketball game. The star player, Mason Horace Raymore, is a hero of the team. Everyone cheers as he dominates the court. But something strange is happening to him. In the middle of the game, Mason suddenly starts seeing disturbing visions. For a brief moment, he sees a horrifying figure, a man whose skin looks burned and blackened, standing silently in a cloud of smoke. Mason shakes his head, trying to ignore it. The vision disappears, and he continues playing. Soon, his team wins the game, and everyone celebrates his performance. But Mason doesn't look happy. Instead, he looks terrified. After the game, Mason goes to the locker room alone. His breathing is heavy, and sweat drips down his face. He opens his locker and stares at something inside. A strange object. It looks like a small skull-shaped whistle. Suddenly the lights flicker, and that same burned figure appears again, standing behind him. Mason panics and runs toward the showers, hoping he's imagining everything. But the figure follows him. The next moment, something impossible happens. Mason suddenly bursts into flames. His teammate Dean rushes in, horrified, as Mason screams while burning alive. Within seconds, the school star athlete is dead. But the truth about his death is far more terrifying than anyone realizes. Months later, a new student arrives at the school. Her name is Chris Willett. Chris has recently moved to town to live with her cousin Rel after a tragic accident involving her father. She is quiet, distant, and clearly trying to escape her past. On her first day at school, Chris is assigned a locker, the same locker that once belonged to Mason. When she opens it, she notices something strange hidden inside, a small urn. Curious, she opens it and finds a strange object inside, a whistle carved into the shape of a skull. At first, she thinks it's just some weird souvenir, but this whistle will soon change everything. Later that day, Chris gets into an argument with Dean, the same boy who witnessed Mason's death. Dean hates her immediately and begins mocking her about rumors from her past. The other students also end up in detention with them. Rel, Dean's girlfriend Grace, and Grace's friend Ellie. Ellie is kind and friendly, the opposite of the hostile Dean. During detention, the whistle accidentally falls out of Chris's bag. Mr. Craven picks it up. He studies the strange object with curiosity. The carving looks ancient and mysterious. Believing it's just a strange artifact, he confiscates it. After the detention ends, the students leave the classroom, but Mr. Craven stays behind. Alone in the room, he continues examining the whistle, curious about how it works. He raises it to his lips and blows it. The sound that comes out is unlike anything human. A horrifying, high-pitched scream echoes through the room. It sounds like something dying. Mr. Craven shivers. Moments later, he begins hearing footsteps behind him. When he turns around, he sees something impossible. Standing behind him is a sick, dying version of himself. Its skin is pale, its eyes empty, and it looks like a corpse. The creature slowly walks toward him. Mr. Craven screams as the horrifying version of himself attacks. By morning, the school reports that Mr. Craven died suddenly from lung cancer. But the truth is far darker. Meanwhile, Rel sneaks back into the classroom and steals the whistle. Later that evening, the group of students gathers at Grace's house to relax and hang out. They begin joking about the weird whistle. Dean dares Grace to blow it. Everyone laughs nervously as she lifts the whistle to her lips. Then she blows it. The terrible scream echoes again. Everyone immediately regrets it. The sound is so disturbing that it feels like death itself is crying out. From that moment forward, something begins following them. The next day, strange things begin happening. Each of the students starts seeing terrifying visions. They see distorted versions of themselves. Versions that look like they have already died. Chris and Ellie begin investigating the whistle and discover something horrifying. They visit the house of Mason's grandmother, Ivy, who collects ancient occult artifacts. When Ivy sees the whistle, her face fills with fear. She explains that the object is an Aztec death whistle, and it carries a deadly curse. Anyone who hears the whistle's sound becomes marked by death. Soon after hearing it, they will begin seeing visions of how they are destined to die. Eventually, those deaths will come for them, not as accidents, but as supernatural manifestations of their own fate. Chris and Ellie realize the terrible truth. Everyone who heard the whistle is now doomed. They rush to warn the others, but it's already too late. That night, Grace attends a harvest festival. While walking through a maze of hay bales, she suddenly notices an old woman watching her. The woman slowly begins chasing her. Grace runs deeper into the maze, but when the old woman catches her, something horrifying happens. Grace's body begins aging rapidly. Her hair turns gray. Her skin wrinkles. Within seconds, she ages decades and collapses as a frail old woman. Grace dies of old age. Meanwhile, Dean begins seeing a mutilated version of himself everywhere he goes. He becomes paranoid and terrified. Trying to escape his fate, he locks himself in his room, but death still finds him. The next morning, Dean is discovered dead in his house. His body shows injuries from a massive car accident, exactly like the vision he had been seeing. Now, only 3 of the cursed students remain: Chris, Ellie, and Rel. Desperate for answers, they return Ivy. The old woman reveals one final secret before dying. There may be a way to escape the curse, but the method is horrifying. The curse can be transferred. If a cursed person marks another person with their blood, the curse will move to the new victim. Someone else must die in their place. Rel becomes obsessed with this idea. Terrified of his own death, he decides he will sacrifice someone else to survive. Meanwhile, Chris finally opens up about her past. She reveals that she once overdosed on drugs. Her father tried rushing her to the hospital, but during the drive, he crashed the car and died. Chris has blamed herself for his death ever since. Ellie comforts her, and the two grow closer. Soon, they realize Rel has disappeared. They rush to find him. Rel has kidnapped a violent youth pastor named Noah. He takes Noah to a steel mill, planning to transfer the curse to him. Rel cuts his hand and prepares to mark Noah with his blood, but Chris and Ellie arrive just in time. They beg Rel not to kill an innocent man. Rel hesitates, but before he can decide, the curse arrives for him. A terrifying version of Rel appears. The ghostly figure drags him into a giant steel shredder machine. Rel is brutally torn apart. Now only Chris and Ellie remain. With time running out, Chris realizes something important. Ivy never said they had to stay dead. She only said they needed to die. So Chris creates a risky plan. They will temporarily stop their hearts. If they die and are revived, the curse may believe they are already dead. Using ice water and medical equipment, they prepare the experiment. Chris enters the freezing water first. Her heart slowly stops. In the frozen darkness, she sees her own death approaching. A monstrous version of herself begins dragging her underwater. Meanwhile, Ellie prepares a defibrillator to revive her. But suddenly, Noah escapes. He attacks Ellie and shoots the machine that would revive Chris. Ellie is injured, and everything begins to fall apart. As Chris struggles underwater, she finally breaks free from the death vision. She wakes up. At that exact moment, Noah accidentally touches the blood from Ellie's wound. Instantly, the curse transfers to him. Noah freezes in terror as a monstrous version of himself appears. The creature slowly approaches. Moments later, Noah is killed by his own horrifying death. The curse is gone. 3 months later, Chris and Ellie are now together and living peacefully. They believe the nightmare is finally over. But in the final scene, a new student opens a locker at the school. Inside the locker, she finds a small urn. Curious, she opens it. Inside is the skull-shaped whistle. The girl smiles and lifts it to her lips and blows it. The terrible scream echoes once again, because some curses never truly end, and death is always listening.